I'm Gurcharan, the author of The Difficulty of Being Good, and with me is my good friend Kiran Karnik, who I'm happy to say has read my book. Kiran, how did you respond to it?
Well, I was very excited, Gurcharan. I must tell you frankly that I've read the Mahabharata only in one of those abridged, shortened versions many years ago, decades ago, I would say. And to read this book, it was so refreshing and so exciting to me because it wasn't so much about the stories, but it was about not even the interpretation, but it's about the perspective you bring to bear on it, and the perspective from the point of view of not just Indian, Hindu or Indian thought, but from various Western philosophers, and the fact that you tie them into circumstances as of today. I found that very exciting, and I found a lot of it applicable to things in the corporate world. And the one, of course, that got me immediately was the whole thing about your descriptions about various corporate, problems, disputes, frauds, and how they tie into this whole thing. And I thought that was one of the things I wanted to talk with you about.
Well, as a person who has been in the corporate world yourself, as a person who has been head of NASCOM and who's been concerned with the destiny of India Incorporated and where we go as a nation, I thought that one area which we might talk about is the advice that Krishna gives to Arjuna in the Gita, which is, of course, embedded in the Mahabharata, the notion of Nishkam Karma. When he says, act for the sake of the action and not for the reward. And I must say, I found this a very seductive idea. And not only me, but Gandhi found it, Tilak found it, you're a Maharashtrian, so you know Tilak, and Bankim Chandra. All these people found this a very attractive way towards nation building as well. And I thought to myself, my God, if it's every CEO's dream to be able to have his employees, his people, behave in a way so that they're not thinking all the time about their next promotion or the size of their office. And I think it would really improve teamwork in our companies.
So teamwork, I think, something Indians are not terribly good at least in the corporate world. And if, as you feel it does, I think that's a great thing. You work the corporate world, you know how this is. And I do think that if, as you say, there is the possibility of people focusing on what they're doing and not the rewards and fruits and incentives, it's a great thing. But I do want to ask you, Gurcharan, in all your experience of this, if people are focusing on their action and not on the fruits thereof, is it in any way less of an incentive? Is it in any ways less of an aspiration? Does it curb ambition in some ways? Ambition is one of the fueling, fires for growth of corporations and individuals. So does this in any way inhibit ambition?
Kiran, that's a very, very good question. And I wrestle with this in the book, in chapter 5, that what is ambition and where does ambition? And I found that the best CEOs I've met, frankly, were very ambitious. But their ambition was for their company and not necessarily for their next increment in the company or what their next stock option was going to be. And so the real question really is, can human beings act in this way? It's very well for us to say, well, you should act so that you don't care who gets the credit. But we all want to get the credit for what we do. At least I felt that, there are people, certainly. My father, for example, used to say, my job is my dharma. He was an engineer. He built canals. And to him, building a particular canal, the best possible canal, was his way, sort of fulfillment. But the question really is, on a sustained basis, can we embed this notion in our corporate culture? And I'm not so sure. I think that to act to do a job as a duty because it must be done. You know, I think we can do it for short periods. Like you and I, you know, we get absorbed in our work and suddenly we say, oh my God, it's 6 o'clock. So we know time gets distorted. I just lost 2 hours. I thought it was 4 o'clock. That meant I was absorbed for those 2 hours. And for those 2 hours, I was probably very creative. But whether we could do it as a way of life, I think personally saints. Only saints can do it.
I don't think I can.
Yeah.
You've got to be a saint to do that.
Yeah.
True enough. That's something.
So I think we have to take a break now and we'll come back.